today we're on day 5 already of the menopause weight loss focus. So we've talked a lot already about the causes and what goes on with our lovely female bodies and why it is that we gain this weight as we go through the menopause, or some of us gain the weight as we go through the menopause. And from the feedback I've got, guys, so far, you guys are really understanding now what's going on with your body, and hopefully that's kind of helping you understand the process and maybe being a little bit more gentle with what's going on. So yesterday we talked a lot about this chronic stress, this ongoing stress, this raised cortisol levels that we have, and I just want to say that not all stress is bad. We need stress to drive us, to give us energy, to get us going, get us out of danger. But it's this prolonged chronic stress that's causing us the problems. And this links nicely in with today's topic, really, because this high cortisol levels actually raise our blood sugar levels. And because it does this because when we're in that state of stress and fight or flight, our body needs that reserve of energy to be able to fight or flight. It needs that energy. So the body's amazing. It just it's using itself to create this energy. So cortisol levels will bring up the blood sugar levels, and this kind of consistent high level of cortisol means that it needs a storage. It needs somewhere to get this energy from, and the place that it gets its energy from is the fat that it stores around your middle. It's easy access. It can gain access to that lovely source of energy. Not so great for us, perhaps, if we're thinking about weight loss, but from the body's point of view, it's doing what it needs to do for survival. So this leads us on really about today's topic, which is talking about insulin and blood sugar level balance. And this is another key thing to take into account. When adrenaline and cortisol release when we're stressed, these, and when your blood sugar levels drop, your body produces cortisol and adrenaline to bring those levels back up. And these are fat storing hormones. Insulin is a hormone that's secreted from your pancreas, which is kind of behind the stomach. And what it does, insulin is like the gatekeeper, if you like, on your cells. It actually, if you imagine, it opens the little door on your cells and allows blood glucose to enter. And so when you digest a meal, all the sugars are released and they go into your bloodstream, and you can't have too much blood in your you can't have too much sugar in your bloodstream, because that causes health conditions that we'll talk about later. So what your body needs to do is to get that excess sugar out of your blood. And it does this, and this is where insulin comes in. It opens the gates and allows the sugar to go into the cell. Your muscles also take in this sugar, and it's turned into glycogen. It also gets stored in your liver. And when all those places are full up and there's no more storage, it gets stored as body fat. So the more sugar we have and the more excess sugars we have in the body, the more it has to be stored out of your, because your body needs to take it out of your blood supply and stored in your body. And there, where it's used for when we need energy, it's then taken from these storage places to use. And what happens is we get problems when this kind of gets a little bit out of whack. So I've got another diagram here just to kind of show you. I'm going to put this in. So as you can see, so this is your blood sugar levels going up and down throughout the day as you eat meals. So the green lines are where you want to have your blood sugar levels. It's kind of like that ideal point that your body wants them. But as you eat, you go up and down. And if you have foods that are high GI type foods, sugary, refined carbohydrates, this will go up much quicker, and what goes up must come down. And when it comes down, it drops down too low. And what happens here is it's cortisol. And that has to push it back up again, or your body says, oh, it's too low, I need energy. You'll get cravings, and this is when we want coffee, tea, and sugary snacks. And especially this is common in that kind of like 2-3 o'clock slump in the afternoon. And this pushes it back up again. And sometimes, usually it overshoots and it goes too high, and then it drops down, and you can see you're up this. Now what we want is a much smoother up and down graph here, and that's what we're looking for, blood sugar levels. So not only will this have an impact on your belly fat, particularly, it will have an impact on your mood. It will have an impact on just your tiredness, your energy, all those things. And I think it's something that's overlooked. Blood sugar management is overlooked, and it's something that I've seen over and over again in clinic. And once it starts to be addressed, it can have profound effects on people's well-being and how they feel. So don't underestimate managing your blood sugar levels. Now, you probably haven't heard of this, but there is something called insulin resistance, and actually this is heading into pre-diabetes, and then further on it can turn into diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And this is when this blood sugar regulation really gets out of whack. Your body can't keep up with the highs and the lows, and it's working really hard. It's pumping out all these hormones. It's trying to keep your body. So another thing that causes insulin resistance is physical inactivity. Our muscles use the stored version of glucose. This is glycogen. And remember I said how the body, when the insulin opens the doors to the cells, and the sugar comes out of the blood and it goes into your liver, into your muscles, and into fat. Now, if we can keep your muscles demanding more and more sugar, that's going to really, really help with this insulin resistance. And it makes your cells much more sensitive, and it will use the insulin and it will use the blood sugars much more efficiently. So I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to do a whole video about exercise and how that helps. What is it you can do to start to turn this around, to start to get your blood sugar levels balanced and looking into your insulin? So basically, stop dieting. Yo-yo dieting will really screw metabolism, and it will just mess around with your blood sugar levels. It will mess around with all these different hormones. Dieting will not work for you any longer. Eating foods that balance your blood sugar levels, so protein, slow burning carbohydrates, lots of healthy fats are all going to help you for this. Initially, if you think you've got blood sugar dysregulation, eating little and often to start with. So every 3 hours, making sure your body's getting the energy it needs, so it doesn't go into a stress response. And then ideally, after a few weeks or months, you can move into spacing your meals apart, which is better really for us. But for blood sugar balance, little and often, every 3 hours or so. Removing sugars and simple carbohydrates from your diet is going to put less strain on your body. Watching your alcohol intake, watching your caffeine intake as well. There are supplements you can use that help with blood sugar balance. There are things like chromium and cinnamon. Things like that can really help with your blood sugar levels. And again, sleep. Sleep is key. So doing what you can to get enough sleep in. Forget the ironing in the evening. Go to bed earlier. Honestly, your belly will thank you for it. So there's quite a lot to think about there, and it is a short amount of time for me to cover these topics. But I'm just giving you a taste, really, of so you can understand of what's going on in your body. So I hope that's made sense. I hope it's been useful. And again, as usual, any comments, any questions, just ask away below, and I'll be able to help you. Thanks, guys.